I've seen every single film nominated for Best Picture in the 2026 Oscars. So today I thought it'd be fun to go through them all and rank them 1 through 10. Now, this was a really good year for Best Picture. Almost all of these I thoroughly enjoyed, so it was pretty hard ranking them, especially towards the middle and higher end of the list. I will briefly go through my thoughts on each of the films. There'll be some light spoilers, but nothing too major, so people who haven't seen them can still enjoy them for themselves. So without further ado, let's get into it. At number 10, I unfortunately have to put The Secret Agent. Now, The Secret Agent is still a film that I really enjoyed. I'm super glad I watched it. Had an interesting concept. I think my major issues with it were just how hard it was for me to get into it in the beginning. I would say this is broken up into 3 parts, and it took me about beginning or middle of part 2 for me to really lock in on the plot and understand what's going on and kind of get invested in the characters. So that did turn me off a little bit. This is, not in English, so the subtitles could play a part in that. I am experienced with, reading subtitles and watching foreign media all the time, so I don't really think that's a big credit to why it was a struggle for me, but it definitely played a part, I'm sure. I think the ending of the movie was a really interesting angle to take, and I think that did elevate the entire story for me overall because it kind of made the theme and messaging of the story more clarified, I would say. And the atmosphere in general was super cool. I think they did a great job with that. Just glimpsing into Brazil in the 1970s during a dictatorship is just a really interesting time period. This was definitely a slow burn. I could see myself enjoying it more in a second watch after I kind of understood what the movie was going for more, but I'd be lying if I put it, any higher than 10th place here. I would still recommend everybody to go watch it though. All right, moving on to the number 9 spot, we have F1 the movie. I really only watched this because it was nominated for Best Picture and I wanted to know all of the movies just so I could have a educated opinion on all this. But when I watched it, I was surprised. I'm not usually into racing movies, so they sometimes feel straightforward, predictable, someone wins the race in the end. But I think this one had a few aspects to it that made it stand out. First of all, I know nothing about F1, so it actually was really interesting learning about F1 as a sport, and it's kind of my first exposure to it. I've really never watched it before. I've never watched NASCAR or anything like that, but I'm a little bit more familiar with that rather than F1, and I can already tell that F1 seems like a much more fun sport to keep track of. Another really good aspect was just the dynamic between JP and Sonny. I liked seeing how there was a super talented rookie, but he doesn't always have the wisdom that is needed to finish out a race and actually win. And there's also the super experienced veteran in Brad Pitt's character, and he really helps out JP a lot. And just their dynamic of how they're so different, but they're both talented in different ways, and how they come together to do the best for their team is just really interesting. There was one moment about halfway through the movie where I was actually super shocked. I had my mouth open. I was genuinely shocked by something in this movie about halfway, but sadly they just immediately retracted on it, and I felt like it was a really good opportunity to push the movie in a different direction, more of an unpredictable track. Sadly, they just disregarded it, and it seemed a little bit cheap to me, and that did bring down my enjoyment of the film overall. I kind of feel like if they stuck with that one decision, it maybe would have been better. And I feel like people who have watched the movie know what I'm talking about. If not, you'll probably understand. Overall, it's a really good action-packed film. It's pretty simple, engaging story. The editing is super well done. Visual effects, incredible. I had no idea that the cars in this half the time were CGI. For some reason, I'm stupid and I just thought it was all real. That's how good it looks. So as far as a racing movie, this is really top tier. All right, and then moving on to number 8, we have Frankenstein. Frankenstein has a lot going for it. I did really have a good time with this. I thought Jacob Elordi was great as Frankenstein, even though going into it, I thought it was the weirdest casting ever, but he's really turning out to be a really great actor that's pretty versatile, so gotta stop doubting him. Yeah, Oscar Isaac was great in this as well. I thought the sets and the costume design, all of that was really great. I don't have a ton to say about this movie. It's just, I kind of thought it was solid. It was good. I think I gave it a 3.5 out of 5 stars. So, but it wasn't anything that I would really go back to. I just think some other films this year did a lot better of a job. I did think that the whole monologue that the monster was having in the ship was a little weird, and I don't know, some parts of this it just didn't hit for me. I don't have a ton to say in this one just because I saw it a little bit ago. I can't remember every aspect. I have to rank it lower just because I really don't have strong feelings about it. There's not a lot of moments that scream out to me that are super memorable. Not to say it's a bad movie at all. It's just compared to these other ones up here, I definitely have some more memorable moments with these ones. So I'm just going to put it at 8 for that reason. Number 7, we're going to give that to Hamnet. All right, Hamnet is really spectacular, I have to say. The acting is through the roof. Obviously, we have Jessie Buckley, who is best actress by far. She just gave an unreal performance. I really want to point out the little boy who played Hamnet because he also had some really, really impactful scenes that showed some real depth. I'm just really impressed with his acting. But Paul Mescal, Jessie Buckley, they absolutely carried this. I am not a Shakespeare person whatsoever, and that's not to say I dislike it. It's just I've seriously never gotten into it. I don't really know any of the Shakespeare history or anything about him. So this wouldn't be my target movie. I wouldn't be in their target audience, you could say. But after seeing this, I'm much more interested in Shakespeare, and I could see myself diving deeper into his work. One thing I really took away from this is just how crazy the Renaissance was. It's wild how people started valuing art as a form of expression and something that's actually important in the world. You know, even though Will's character wasn't present for his son's death, he dealt with it the best way he knew how, and that's through art. You know, on one hand, he further distanced himself from his family as a consequence, but he also created something that allowed him and Agnes to find closure and acceptance, and I really think that was a powerful scene. And also, his play was given to the audience as well, and they can take that experience with them and deal with their own emotions and issues, just like how Agnes and Will found closure and acceptance through his play. So I really thought it was a great message, really thought-provoking. Yeah, just an excellent film overall, and Jessie Buckley is definitely best actress. At number 6, we're gonna go with Begonia. Begonia was great. First of all, Emma Stone, just a 10 out of 10 actress. We all know that. Jesse Plemons, he did an excellent job as well. I was pretty locked in the whole time. I really thought the whole mystery of if she was actually an alien or whatever was really fun. I predicted the whole time that she was an alien just because she did seem a little off, and I felt like that would have been a fun twist. And just the name Begonia and the cover picture of the movie is it just made me think she was an alien. But despite that, I really thought it was fun, you know, how they were playing both sides of it. We really didn't know if we should have believed Teddy or if we were supposed to believe Emma Stone's character. This one's just kind of fun. I really enjoyed this one. I do think that the ending could have hit a little bit harder. Specifically, I think the alien look wasn't exactly what I wanted, and it wasn't that great in my opinion. If the whole reveal of her being an alien was a little bit better, a little grander, I think it would have hit a lot harder. So I think that's the biggest thing holding it back for me. But obviously, Emma Stone did a fantastic job on this. Jesse Plemons, as I said, this is a great film. It definitely deserves to be up here in Best Picture. All right, we're entering the top 5. And at number 5, we're going to put Marty Supreme. All right, well, if you know anything about me, I'm a huge Timothée Chalamet guy. I've watched pretty much every single one of his films throughout his whole filmography. There's probably about 3 to 5 that I haven't seen that are kind of lesser known, but for the most part, I've seen all his movies. I'm a huge fan. I think he's the next generation's Leo, all that kind of stuff. So I was really excited to get into Marty Supreme, and I was not disappointed. This is an excellent film. It being at number 5 is really not a dig at the film itself. It's more just because of the other ones I really enjoyed a lot more. I think Timothy obviously is in the running for Best Actor. I think he gave a top 3 performance this year for sure. He continues to just break boundaries, show why he is the next up for sure. And just the movie itself is just a wild roller coaster of emotions. There's just so much stuff that happens in this, and it's just nonstop action and craziness, which made it really, really exciting to go through. I think my big issue was the ending. I remember being in the theaters and the credits rolling, and I thought there was 30 minutes of movie left because I had no idea it was about to end. Me personally did not feel like the conclusion was what it should be. That being said, it's really not that big of a deal. I would have liked better conclusions with Kay and Rockwell's characters. You know, overall, it's not a huge deal. I still think they left it pretty well done, and the whole movie is a wild ride that I really enjoyed. And obviously, Timothy's in it. I'm a little biased. Timothy's the best. So, and even people like Tyler, the Creator, or Mr. Wonderful, like I never seen them in any other film if they've been in anything, and they did a great job. So I'm really surprised about that, and you got to give them their flowers. But like I said, Marty Supreme is a great film, great for Timothy's career, and I can't wait to see what he does from going from here. All right, and then number 4, we're gonna put One Battle After Another. Now I know this is Best Picture winner. Paul Thomas Anderson also won Best Director for this, so this is what the people chose. I would put it at number 4. I did think it was a really incredible movie. I thought it was a lot of fun. Leo was number 2, I believe, for me in the Best Actor award. I did want to give it to Michael B. Jordan, but I did think Leo gave an on par, if not even better performance. I just think we'll get to spoilers later. I think Sinners is a better movie, so I'd probably give it to Michael B. Jordan. But Leo, this is one of his best roles for sure. I thought the whole entire cast was great. Sean Penn, of course, also got the nod with Best Supporting Actor, and I think he definitely deserved that as well. The story was a lot of fun. I'm pretty new to PTA, so I can't compare it to his other movies, but I really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. Great acting, great action, great cinematography, great editing. So overall, really good story. Tiana Taylor's character was pretty funny in this as well. I just think about that picture of her shooting the machine gun while she's pregnant. That was a pretty interesting image. I also just found out this is Chase Infinity's first ever feature film, which is incredible because she killed it in this, killed it. I would have had no idea that this is her first feature film, so she's definitely here to stay. I can see her being in more projects going forward. I'd probably give this a 4.5 out of 5 stars, so we're really talking about top tier stuff here, but that just goes to show you how highly I regard my top 3. And speaking of, let's get to number 3. I'm going to give that to Train Dreams. Now, this one's a bit of an underdog. It hasn't been talked about a lot throughout this whole Oscar season. I really think it's getting overlooked, if I'm being honest. I gave it a 4.5 out of 5 stars. It was really close to 5 stars for me just because I did feel very emotional watching this one. It did kind of move me, which is something I really value in movies. If something can make me feel something, I have to rate it higher. I don't know. The cinematography is probably my favorite here out of all of the 2026 Oscar Best Picture nominees. I think this one does it the best. Just the color palette, the lens, the immersion into nature. It's just a really endearing atmosphere that I really connected with, and it did connect with the overall theme of the story. Times changing, going from more of a live off the land to a more modern civilization. So I really enjoyed just how everything looked and felt and sounded in this. And I think that did affect my feelings while watching the movie really strongly. I felt like I could see the Earth aging alongside Robert. He's not the only one going through changes. The Earth is also, being cut down, reformed, influenced by the changing of times. And Robert's life was just so tragically powerful to experience, seeing all of this happen through his lens. And obviously the twist in the middle really hits hard, and he struggles with that a lot. This is one of those movies that really connects with me personally, and I think that's why I rate it so high. It just makes me think about my place in the world and the entire history of the Earth in general. It's really interesting. I'd recommend it for anyone who's in the mood for something kind of self-reflective, calm, beautiful. Don't watch this if you're already tired. I think, if you want something action-packed or exciting, maybe go for One Battle or Sinners or Marty Supreme. But this one's like if you're going camping and sipping some coffee on your wooden chair out in the forest and you're thinking about life. That's just what I love about this movie. All right, and at number 2, I'm going to put Sinners. Now, I know this is a lot of people's undisputed number 1 Best Picture for this year. I do think, being objective and thinking about the cultural impact and the popularity of this film, I do think Sinners deserves the number 1 spot as far as who actually wins the award. Obviously, we know One Battle After Another won. I think Sinners just made such a profound impact on the industry in general, and it's just been in the discourse of the media for a long time now. So I do think it deserves that spot, and obviously it's an incredible movie. So Michael B. Jordan's where I'll start here. He plays 2 characters, and he does this masterfully. I think he definitely deserves Best Actor. If not him, it's Timmy or Leo. The cinematography is great in here. The music is obviously great in here. I love the vampire aspect of this movie. I love the theme, the messaging. It's just overall fantastic, really creative, really unique. I've never seen a movie like this. Something I think I could rewatch a lot too. I think this is major rewatch value. I really recommend anyone who hasn't seen this movie go see it. This is a blockbuster. This is gonna stay in our culture for a long time. Super entertaining, super interesting. And this is what we need to support in movies, are these cultural movies that are actually original. They're not just slop sequels or something like that. So I can't say enough praise about Sinners. It was truly fantastic. And at the very top, #1 spot, I'm gonna put Sentimental Value. Now, I have hardly seen any single person put Sentimental Value as the #1 best movie of the year. So I can obviously see this as a hot take, most likely. But I just had to say I was blown away on how emotional this made me. There's just too much to praise, honestly. This is a masterpiece. The ending was incredible. The acting across the board was stellar. I think every single of the main 4 characters are nominated for Oscars. None of them won, unfortunately, but all 4 of them getting nominations is already a pretty big win here. I think the biggest thing that they really got down was how we felt Nora's trauma with every like ounce of her being. We just felt her trauma. Her character was her trauma, and she carried that so well. And it was almost in a subtle way. It was a really, really subtle way that you could just feel it with every decision she made, every way she looked at someone, you could feel it. This is a almost entirely French speaking movie, so you do have to watch subtitles for this one if you're an English speaker. It did not really hurt the movie for me personally or my enjoyment. I really had no issues with it. There are some English speaking parts, especially with Elle Fanning, but for the most part, it's all in French. This one is another kind of personal pick. I think this shows my personal tastes and biases in the films I watched. I think that's why I rated this a 5 out of 5, and this is the only 5 out of 5 I gave for this year. I think it hits really hard for me. I love movies like this where you can feel someone's pain and trauma and you can connect with that. And I thought the ending really addressed it all well. It addressed every issue they had in the movie. It was also pretty surprising how it ended. I was caught off guard by that. I did not expect how it ended. And yeah, I just think they really delivered perfectly. I did not know what to expect going in. I didn't really know what this was about at all, but I was blown away and I can't wait to rewatch it. I recommend it to anyone as long as you don't mind reading subtitles. All right, well, that pretty much concludes my picks for the 2026 Best Picture Oscars. And let me know what you think in the comments. Tell me if I'm absolutely stupid or if you can kind of see where I'm coming from. I'd love to see how you rank the movies. Do you think one battle after another deserve to win? Let me know what you think of the other awards as well. As always, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like and subscribe for more content like this. I'll see you in the next one.